Hello and welcome to another Total War Warhammer guide. Today we are looking at the core of the Beastmen army, the sort of cheaper end, the value, the pound shop end of the Beastmen army, and that is the various different types of Ungor units. Now they come in 4 different flavours. We're going to go through each one individually, just see the differences, and then we're going to talk about how to use them actually in battle, you know, what the differences are. Some of them are plain, some of them maybe a little bit more explanation is needed. So the first off is your standard Ungor herd. I am very that chest hair is impressive. As with all the units in this game, they are beautifully looking. They've done a really good job working on the animations and stuff. I think it's very, very good. So let's look at the Ungor herd. So this is the bog standard variety. They come with axes and shields. So they're shielded, which basically stops some of the damage from missile fire. They have, and this is how the Beastmen play, a lot of the units will have Vanguard deployment, meaning you can deploy them much further ahead in the battlefield. If we have a look on this battlefield here, it's kind of hard to see because it's in the snow. The red area here is the enemy deployment. The yellow line is our deployments, but anywhere outside this white line is where we can deploy Vanguard units. So we could deploy somebody here in the trees, ready to ambush them from the side. This is how Beastmen play. They are ambush, hit and run type troops. So let's have a look at them in detail. So we'll see all the similarities first. Every unit is 160 for the melee units and 120 for the raiders. And they have 7,680 hit points. They also have an ability called Stalk, which you don't see much in the game, and that is the unit can move hidden in any terrain, and this just adds to their hit and run ambush tactics. Obviously so much better, especially when you're Vanguard deploying them, because sometimes there's nowhere to hide them, so a lot of better value out of those stalking characters. But as I said, these are the cheap units, so they only have 15 armour, pretty decent leadership for a cheap troop, which is 55, speed of 35, melee attack and defense of 22 and 24, weapon strength 25, let's see if there's any sort of breakdown here, 5 armour piercing, so not much, a little nibble, and a charge bonus of 15, so they're pretty all-round basic troops. They've got the Vanguard deployment, they can stalk, meaning they can hide in any terrain, and they have the Beastmen standard thing, which is their primal fury, which means that the unit is immune to psychology, fear and terror, and gets a melee attack bonus, charge bonus and a speed bonus. This works all the time until the unit itself is wavering, because then they suddenly lose that bloodlust, that primal fury. But a really good overall basic unit. Like I said, after we've gone through the units, we'll talk about the actual how you'd use them in a fight. So the next up, we've got the Ungor Spearman herd. Now this is the same size unit. It's got the same amount of hit points, same amount of armour. Their leadership is 5 worse for no apparent reason. Just to balance them, I guess. Speed 35, melee attack 22, defense is 22 as opposed to 24 for the shielded units. Weapon strength is a little bit less at 22, and a charge bonus slightly less at 12. But what they do have, obviously spears are good for cavalry, anti-large, anything like that, and they get a charge bonus against large foes. They have poor leadership, but we know that it's 5 less than the other unit. It's not too much. And then there's the defense breakdown there. If you look on the actual weapon itself, the bonus versus large, so you get 18 weapon damage, 4 armor piercing, which is 1 less than the normal axe troops, but bonus versus large of 13. That makes them like 55% more effective when they're fighting those large troops. So that's really what you want to use them for. So next up, we've got a slight variation on the Spearman. So this is a slightly more expensive unit, and it's basically Spearman with a shield. How clever. Yeah. So the difference here is that they're shielded. We'll have a quick look to see if there is any other differences. Their melee defense is 28, obviously, because that shield really helps with their defense. It's not just for blocking missile fire, it actually does help them. And they have it's the worst charge bonus of the 3. Obviously, spears aren't very good for charging, and shields just slow you up a little bit, so their charge isn't as good. But still very useful. These are going to form the sort of main especially early on in the campaign, these will form the main bulk of your frontline troops. Obviously, the Ungor herd without the spears have the vanguard and the stalk, so they play very differently, which we'll go through shortly. The last is the Ungor raiders. This is your missile infantry. The sort of stats don't matter too much. You only really want to know how much damage they do. But their armor is the same. They've got 5 less leadership again. The speed is the same. Melee attack is slightly lower, as is their defense. The weapon strength is 25. They get a charge bonus of 5 because I guess when they charge, they just have little short swords. They get 22 shots worth of ammunition, a range of 110, which is okay. Missile damage of 17. Only one of that is armor piercing. So just steer clear of anything that's got decent armor. You just won't do much damage to it. One good thing about this is that once you drop those shields, you do get the stalk back, so the unit can move hidden in any terrain. So pretty damn good and pretty damn versatile for basically what is one unit. One unit of troops. You get 4 very different playstyles from the 3. Well, sort of 3 very different playstyles, I guess. So let's go and kill some Bretonians. We've got a little beast lord here. We'll chuck him here. I won't vanguard deployment because you know we understand what that is. So first off, we've got archers. Everybody knows how to use archers. These are the main backbone if you're using any sort of missile infantry army. You might have 3 or 4 units of these. Like I said, play them as any other archers. Just steer well clear of anything that's remotely armoured. Just go for other missile units, other light cavalry, light infantry, that sort of thing. The next up is these 3 units. Now this is the big sort of difference. Obviously, the Spearman Herber's Shield plays the same as the Spearman. That's kind of a given. And they don't have that vanguard deployment. They don't have the stalk, so they are part of your early main force. You might have 4 or 5 units of this as the backbone of your army, especially if you're going up against a lot of Bretonians, where they've got a lot of cavalry. These are absolutely perfect for those guys. Probably my favourite is just the standard Ungor herd. The sort of clean version, no sort of upgrades, no shields, no spears, because that vanguard deployment is so important to the way that Beastman plays. This is the units I would take, because once you get much better units in the game, you might replace these spearman herds. You might have 1 or 2 units just for a very particular job, but you might replace these with much stronger units like Gors and stuff like that, Centaur Gors. But the Ungor herd still plays a valuable part in any late game army. Right, let's get shooting with these dudes. Yeah, they are chucks away. Luckily, we're up against these spearmen at arms, so they shouldn't do too much. Right, we're just going to see how they do in combat with this one unit that looks like they're charging. And then we're going to wait. We're just going to adjust these a little bit so we can try and get a surround on this unit. So we're going for it. We'll go 2 here. Send them a little bit wide around, and we'll send this guy around. So they're going to get a flank on me, but then hopefully we can then get a flank on them. And then we'll send our Beast Lord to go and splat. Just hit all the boosts. Hit all the boosts. Get him into combat. Let's see how our archers are doing. So they soft them up pretty well. They're not bad in combat. They're okay against like spearmen at arms. They're not the best units in the world. But there you go, guys. So there is our basic guide. You've got your standard archer unit that can't shoot anything that's armoured. You've got your Ungor herd, which is going to be your flanking unit. They're nice and cheap, so you can just have, in every army, you can have 1 Ungor herd, stick it right in the back with your vanguard, and then go after artillery pieces once the battle has started. Go after those missile troops, because even if you lost them, there's no big loss, really, is it? They're Ungors at the end of the day. Oh, their lord is taking a kick in. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. And there you go. And like I said, the spearmen are just part of your main force. Then once you get more specialised later into the game, you might have a couple of units of these with their spears just to go after those large units, because they've got that charge defence and stuff like that. Especially if you're playing a missile-heavy army, because you've got a charge defence, means you don't have to attack, meaning you can just sit there, pepper them with shots, and then go in. But I wouldn't Play another army. Play dwarfs if you want to play missile. Right, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please check out all my other guides. I'm doing a guide for every unit of the Beastmen army. Did all the others and everything. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.